AM 1340, FM 92.1 WCSR. We are the Timeout Show, brought to you tonight by Coach B's Driving School and by Randy's Auto Body. And we've got a big show tonight. Rick Milligan in the building. My wife and I had a disagreement about this. She said, we were talking about who should I have for the show? And she said, well, you haven't had the Academy. And I said, I've had Milligan on a couple times. And she said, I don't think you have. And I got to thinking about it. I haven't. I mean, that's a huge oversight on my part. I've interviewed Rick a few times for games, but I never actually had him in studio. And then, of course, Chip Blood and Liam Wolfram. Liam is just torching the nets right now, taking people down with that outside shot. We'll talk to these guys tonight. Later on, MP and Rick are in the building, and we'll have a roundtable discussion. We will talk about performance-enhancing drugs. We will talk about the Super Bowl and get our picks. Michigan basketball tonight and especially Saturday night. Will they be able to go down to Assembly Hall and beat Indiana? We'll talk about all of that coming up during the next 55 minutes on the Timeout Show, brought to you by Coach B's Driving School. Check them out at coachbsdrivingschool.com at 425-2614, and our buddies at Randy's Auto Body on South Hillsdale Road, where they've been doing this for a long time, since 1979. You can call Randy's Auto Body at 357-4317. Mr. Rick Milligan, good evening to you. Welcome, and glad you can make it.
Thank you, Andy. Glad to be here.
I had a disaster tonight. My wife wanted to make waffles, and I had watched the Food Network over the weekend, and I decided while she was making the waffles, I would try something. So I rolled up some sausage into balls and fried them, the balls. And then I got some of her batter and dipped the sausage balls in the batter. And then I heated up some canola oil, and I was going to kind of deep fry the battered sausage balls in the batter, in the oil. And I put the first one in there, and it just turned like black as a crisp right away, and the oil started to splatter all over everywhere. And my house smells like burnt canola oil, and it's all over the kitchen, and my wife won't talk to me anymore. And I was just wondering, to start off the interview tonight, does your wife let you around the kitchen, and what is Rick Milligan's specialty? When it's time for you to cook, what's your go-to dish that you make?
She does not allow me in the kitchen very much, actually, Andy. So my specialty would be frozen pizzas. But no, you're making me hungry because we haven't ate dinner. We just came from practice. So I think you should work for the fair, although that sounds like a good fair item.
No, they don't want me working for them. They don't want me coming a mile away from it. It was a disaster. I mean, I smell it right now all over my body, the oil and the smoking and the burning of the sausage pancake thing. Don't do it, folks. I'm thinking that the oil has to be at a certain temperature,
yes.
I've realized, and I just turned it on high and threw it in there, and oh, my Lord, was that a disaster. Well, your team is anything but a disaster. And I've talked to you about this before. We love watching your kids play. The attention to detail, the game plan is evident. Obviously, the shooting and the discipline that you instill into these guys, you got to be pretty proud of these boys and what they're doing so far this season.
Yeah, extremely. And as you said, the kids, they respond well, they listen, and they comprehend, and then they put it into action in the games, and they never give up, So it's very true what you said.
It was true last year, too, that dramatic win over Camden Frontier in the district and all the rest of it. And a little bit of background before we get into this season totally. Talk about your background in the game. How did you rise up to this position as the head coach at the Academy?
Well, my background really is volleyball, but when I came to the Academy, I started out doing that, and then they needed an assistant in basketball for Max Miller, a well-known coach in the area with a lot of experience. So I said I'd love to work with him and start learning the trade, and he took me under his wing, and I had 1 year with him only, and then he moved on, and they said, would you like to take over? And that was 4 years ago, and I was lucky enough, although, to have Chip on board at that point. He was a freshman on varsity at that year, and then Liam was right there, just a little 8th grader, but he was just biting at the bit to get up there too. And pretty much my background, although I've just played a lot of basketball, watched a lot of basketball, and I'm a student of the game, and I love to watch the college, and I try to watch the coaches up there and learn from them.
It has to be fun for you to have grown up as a coach with these two kids who are really smart and talented and coachable, That's got to be. That'll be emotional, I think, for you when they hang it up at the end. Whenever you guys are eliminated or win the state title or whatever the case may be, when it's over, that has to be emotional to think about.
Yeah, and this year is special because we've never had a year where we had so many seniors, and really Liam's only a junior, but he has a lot of experience. So this is one of our most experienced teams that I've had in the 4 years.
Hold up, Liam Wolfram's a junior.
That's correct.
Well, I don't feel so sorry for you now. I mean, you're gonna have Liam back. What about Martin last year? Obviously, he played as an 8th grader up on varsity. Really, I haven't seen a lot of 8th graders do that, and to have the kind of impact that he had as an 8th grader, obviously it was tough to lose him as he went on to Hillsdale High School. But to have him even that 1 year, it had to be kind of cool to see him grow in the game too.
Who's that?
That kid out there in the lobby, yeah.
I'm kidding. We do. We really do miss him. Martin, as an 8th grader, very mature for his age, and he was big and had a lot of skills already for his age. And yeah, we miss him. Believe me, we do. But he is doing a wonderful job for Hillsdale.
Last question about Martin, because he doesn't want me to talk about this, and I don't want to make a big deal about it, but it was torture for him to leave. This wasn't something that they did on a whim or took lightly, and you know that.
Yes.
You know what process went into that. How involved did you get in that decision, or did you just kind of step back and let the family work it out and let them make the decision as they would?
Yes, I did. We knew all about it, but I just knew he has ambitions. He wants to play some football, he wants to play some baseball, and hey, I give that kid a lot of credit. You got to pursue those dreams,
And it's working out pretty well with the Hornets. They're having a great year too.
Yes.
For your team this year, obviously losing Chip with the injury had to be tough, but you've continued to play really well even since Chip's been hurt. What's been the secret of just kind of carrying on even after the injury?
Well, it's the saying that most everybody uses, next guy up, and Liam has stepped up. He's, he bumped his points up a few. We have Adam Crutch, who's another senior point guard. He's been generating some points. And then we did have the new guy this year, which is Noah Kaltoff. He's a sophomore. He's 6'6", and that was a big addition for us, and he's picked up some of the points. But it isn't just those three. I mean, there's other guys. The Cartwright twins have scored some points for us, but I just told them, everybody's just got to add 2 to 4, 6 points, and we'll be fine. And let's just get through this until Chip gets back, which we have good news. He may be back in a week now. So,
well, for him as a senior, obviously, he wants to play. This is it. The high school experience beginning to wrap up here, and
Correct.
For him to get out and play would be wonderful. What's been the biggest win so far? Looking back at the year, what's the signature win for the academy so far?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question.
You love them all. They're like your children, right? It's hard to pick between them.
I really don't have a favorite. The last 2 have been exciting because we pulled them out at the end. So we just had 2 games where we were down, and 2 different players. Liam last night was the player to do that, but stepped at the free throw line, and we were down or tied, and he made 2 free throws, and that was the winning margin of the game. So, and that was with 3.5 seconds, and we had Noah Kaltoff do it last week in a game. So those wins like that are fun when your kids never give up. And we were actually down in both those by some pretty good margins, but came back and the kids fought back hard. So.
I think that's the one advantage, or not the only, but one of the advantages that you have is the character of these guys, because we see this all the time when the chips are down or there's some adversity. Kids can go either way with that. Yeah. And a lot of times kids are going to go the wrong direction with that. And with your kids, you found a way to overcome some of that adversity.
Yeah, even last night I just told Mr. Roberts, our AD, in the huddle with about 2.5 minutes to go, I got in the huddle and I was telling the boys what we needed to do, and all of a sudden it wasn't, but Chip says, hey, we still can do this. And then everybody else, it was just like, boy, I don't need to say anything anymore. Just turn them loose. And they did it. I had all the faith, and I knew they did just by what their comments. And it was never die. So.
What about the SCAA this year? The league, obviously, with Climax Scots at the top, one of the top teams in the state of Michigan. Beyond Climax Scots, what's your outlook on the SCAA halfway through the year?
Well, we played Climax well, but, yeah, with their size, they're so tough. But then after that, Pittsford, I think, is definitely right there, right? I mean, just right below them, and then they've proven that. They've only been beaten by Climax and Lenawee Christian, which Lenaway's playing well this year too. But the rest of the SCAA, I think it's pretty even. From that point on, there's not anybody that sticks out. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night, and it's proven out to be that. I mean, in some of the scores, it's been crazy. So, yeah. You
guys have to face Litchfield later on in the week, and they have probably one of the most talented players in the entire conference in Devin Conley. He's so big. He's 6'6", 6'7", and he's not just tall, but he's got a lot of size, and he has some real skill for a guy that big. What are you going to do with Devin? I know that Litchfield's listening and they want to know your game plan, but what do you do against a guy like Devin Conley when you play the Litchfield Terriers?
Well, Coach Drake, I think we've been studying a lot of film, and we'll just try to take little pieces from what we've seen in some of the games that they played. But we'll guard him tough, maybe face guard him a little bit, and who knows? We'll see how it goes. But our guys will work hard. We'll double team him when he gets in the post because that's where he's tough.
That was a good answer. We didn't give the whole game plan away, but still tried to answer the question, and I appreciate it. But when you have a guy, take him out of it. You could be talking about Satterley and Cook over at Climax Scots, Gunnar Fink when he was at Camden. I mean, I thought North Adams was so much fun to watch last year with what Van Camp could do, and you still had McCormick and some of the other guys. I mean, there are talented players. As small as these schools are, there are still some talented players out there that have to be accounted for.
Oh yeah, and that's what we look at every game. And you're right. You got to find those couple kids that every team's got them. And like you said last year, it was just so amazing. North Adams was like a 6 or 7 kids talented, and they just worked like a machine. That's why they did so well. But yeah, this year you pick out a couple kids. Every team's got them. And you try to get a good matchup with what you got because you got a couple kids, and then if you can neutralize each other, that's what you're looking to do.
Can Kaltoff two-hand slam it yet, or is it still a year or two away?
He can off a trampoline.
I want to see him get his steal and then just drive and dunk one of these days. Is that coming?
He's working on it.
All right.
He's working on it. Someday we'll do a tip.
I mean, his dad has got to be 7 feet tall, right? I mean, he's huge.
Yeah, his dad is.
He's really tall. Rick Milligan is the head coach at the Hillsdale Academy. They actually have practice going on right now, so we're going to talk to him for a few more minutes and let him get back to work. Why don't you talk about these 2 young men that you brought in tonight, kind of introduce them and talk about their contribution to your team so far.
Sure. Today I brought Chip Blood with me and Liam Wolfram. Once again, Chip's a senior, Liam being a junior. They are my 2 co-captains for this year's squad. Great leaders, both in the huddle, in the locker room, and on the floor. It's been a good year for both of them. Chip with that injury, a little setback, but he's working on it, and he is going to be back. So I can't say enough. When the chips are down, these 2 guys step up and lead the team well. It's been fun to watch them, to have them, to grow with them, and as a coach, and they're becoming men out there through the game of basketball. So that's all you can ask, is that they just learn that.
Liam Wolfram is on a hot streak. Would you have 24 last night or something like that?
Yeah, something around there.
Who cares? We don't look at the stats. We don't know. Get right up to that microphone, Liam, so everybody can hear you really well. So Chip goes down. Obviously, it's you. Everybody's looking at you two as kind of the leaders of this team. How did you guys react to it, and how did you pull together so quickly?
Yeah, it was definitely a bummer having him go down, but I think the team rallied pretty well. I think everyone, as Coach Milligan said, stepped up, and we kind of rallied behind him. And Chip has been, being our extra coach, which has definitely helped, giving us insight. And I think we just share the ball well and just try to get as many good looks as we can.
Now, I always see your dad out running, but I've never seen him out on the courts on the pickup games or anything like that. Did Dr. Gary play a little ball in his day, or?
I don't think so. I don't. I kind of got that little bit of playing time from my brother, getting beat up by him when I was younger, trying to play with him. So I think that's where that comes from.
What about the shooting? You're such a good shooter. You just seem to be at home around the three-point area. How did you develop that? Some people can shoot when they're not being guarded. It's a whole different level to be able to be in a pressure situation and knock down those big shots. How have you kind of honed that skill?
Yeah, I used to not be very small, so that's where I could get my points was, stepping out from the three-point range. So I think doing a lot of shooting from there and then just trying to put in some minutes after practice, and then teammates giving me good open looks, getting into the lane, and then kicking out definitely helps. So having Chip here being able to drive and then kick is definitely a good thing.
What about the crowds? I've always been amazed because you don't have a huge high school in terms of the numbers of students, and yet whenever I go to one of your home games, it's jam-packed. It's people on the stage, sometimes 6, 7 deep. The atmosphere at your games is really fun, and it's really loud and energetic. It seems like every student at the school is at your games. That's got to feel great.
Yeah, I love playing at home because there's a big crowd, and it's very tight packed. Even though our gym is it actually helps that our gym is so small. The crowd is right there, and it definitely gives a confidence booster because they're right there behind us. And I think actually last night that helped was just having the crowd kind of rally us and get us energized, and definitely helps us play.
Chip Blood is the senior. And Chip, tell us how you got hurt. What happened?
We had a game coming back off Christmas break on January 7th, and we were out at Waldron. And one of the last plays of the game on a loose ball, it was a tough game. We were down by 20. The game was over. It was only about a minute left. And on a loose ball, one of their big guys fell on my foot while I was scrambling for a ball. And immediately I felt something was wrong with my foot, so I got out of the game. But after that, I got a diagnosis about a week later that the doctor told me it was just a problem with my growth plate was separated from the bone. So I'm just waiting for a little bit of cartilage to heal up there in my foot, and right now I'm just hitting the weight room and trying to support these guys on the bench while I can, and I'll be back within a couple weeks, I think. So
how does it feel?
Feels pretty good. It's just tender. Basically, the timeline for when I can come back is just based on the pain that I feel. It's just based on how I feel. I did some running yesterday. I was at practice for the first half hour of practice today, and it's a little tender still, but if you just give it some time to rest, it'll definitely heal up. So,
can you defeat Connet Blood one-on-one?
Right now, yes. With my size, I can.
She was really good.
She was.
And both of you, it's got to be exciting for your family because you both did so well. What about on the golf course?
Golf course, is she going to be playing from the women's tees or men's tees?
I think she gets the women's tees.
Women's tees, it's going to be a close one. I don't know if I can predict it, but yeah.
Can you both beat your dad?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's good. The schoolwork at the academy obviously is really tough, and it's paying off for you, all sorts of possibilities for you in your future. Do you know where you're going to be next year, or is that still up for consideration?
Still a little up in the air. I got accepted to the University of Notre Dame in December.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that was really relieving, and I'm still looking to apply to the United States Naval Academy. So I should hear back from Naval Academy by April or May. But those are really my top two prospects right now.
You're one of the top student athletes around in the county, and I think we're always searching for the right place to sort of slot sports in our lives. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We have all of the work in the classroom. We have our social lives and all the rest of it. What has sports meant for Chip Blood? What kind of role has it played in your life to kind of help you get where you are right now?
Yeah, I think sports and academics really complement each other. I think they can. And at the academy, that combination certainly works. For me, I grew up playing sports as a kid, and I always had that impulse for at least competition, physicality. So you can't have it all in the classroom. You can't just be studying in the library all day long. For me, I always need some sort of activity or competition, and sports is really a good outlet to work with your teammates, to work on your competition, on your physical ability. So for me, that's really what it's been, just helping me be a well-rounded student athlete. When
you take on a team, maybe a high school that's 3, 4, 5 times the size of the Hillsdale Academy,
right?
You guys still compete. You can win those games sometimes, and even if you don't, they've been in a game, right? What is the sort of edge that you take into those games, even when it seems like you're a huge underdog or don't have a great chance? What's been the secret for you guys being so competitive?
Yeah, I think it starts in practice. It's just a commitment to try to work hard all the time. You mentioned we have Litchfield coming up this week, and we got a big guy that we're going to try to guard in Devin Conley, and he's a great player. But we're used to playing guys who are bigger than us. We're a small school. We generally have small teams. And when we first came into the SCAA conference my 8th grade year, that was the first time we came in, and we got knocked around a lot. And we weren't necessarily the favorite team night in and night out, but it's sort of a us against the world mentality, I guess. Just taking pride in kind of sticking together with your teammates. So I think that helps the team bond a little bit together.
Last question, Chip. As far as your playing relationship with Liam out there on the floor, I know you guys have developed a lot of chemistry, and you know his sweet spot and where he wants the ball and all the rest of it, and he knows the same for you. How much fun has that been to kind of grow up in the game with Liam over the last 3 or 4 years?
Oh, it's been awesome. Yeah, Liam was just a freshman there when we made our run with Peter Sullivan and Eric Lisney when they were seniors. We won the district title there 2 years ago. But to grow up with him and see him develop has been great. Even these last couple weeks, it's been amazing. Watching Liam, once I step out, Liam's confidence has just shot through the roof, and he's been having 20-plus games here the last couple weeks. So seeing that is awesome, and I'm just really excited to get back on the court with him. Yeah,
and we all wish you the best with that. We want you to be able to finish, obviously, what you started this year with the season and on. And do you do a spring sport then?
Yeah, I definitely play golf, and I might run some track too.
I don't know. Does Mr. Roberts let anybody not run track? Is that an option? Or?
No, it's not much of an option. You always have to. If you don't want to run track, you're not going to be on his good side.
Coach Milligan, look at your schedule the rest of the way and on into the districts. Where is your district, and who have you drawn for the first round there?
Yeah, our district happens to be in Litchfield this year, so it's close. And then over there, our first draw, which we play on Wednesday night of the week of districts, we play North Adams first. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side of the bracket is Will Carleton and Litchfield. So should come down to one of us, two of us four, obviously, for the finals. But
you guys have a team that's easy to root for. I think people can really get behind your kids and what you guys represent. And you also have, beyond all of the intangibles, the character and the great intelligence, you're also really good at basketball, which helps on a nightly basis. And when you have guys like these two right here as a leader, a couple of leaders, it's got to be fun to coach this team. And we've got a lot of folks rooting for you the rest of the way. Good luck finishing out the season and on into that district. Best of luck the rest of the way for the Colts.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Academy, they play Friday at Litchfield?
Yes.
And that's going to be, 7 o'clock or so against the Terriers. Wish you guys the best against Litchfield. We'll have the roundtable coming up next right here on the Time Out Show.